and League have them. So now I am delighted to introduce our speaker, Paula Lee. As I mentioned, Paula is a fellow League of Women Voters member. She is past president and current advocacy director for the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County. For her more than 20 years of the League, she has been an active and steadfast leader on electoral reform. Her work has led leagues in cities and states across the country to study electoral systems and to take a broader and more critical view of how we go about electing our leaders and representatives. The result of these efforts is our new California state position on electoral process adopted in 2019 and our national position on voter representation and electoral systems adopted in 2020. These positions, which are basically the same position, promote representative government and support alternatives to plurality voting, including ranked choice voting and proportional representation. In addition to her work with the Sacramento County League, Paula is Vice President of Californians for Electoral Reform, and she is their legislative advocate for proportional representation and ranked choice voting. She also works part-time as a legislative consultant for the California Association for Drug and Alcohol Education, promoting legislation to create a career ladder through higher education for drug and alcohol counselors. And when she isn't doing this important work, she's doing other important work. She is a devoted and actively engaged grandmother of two. One of her, I think, granddaughters, is that right, Paula?
Yes.
One is 3.5 and one is almost brand new. So I am just delighted to ask Paula to get us started. So Paula,
thank
you need to share your screen.
I'll do that right now. Okay, do you see it?
No.
No. Oh dear. Oh dear.
I did give you screen sharing, didn't I?
I just hit screen sharing and it's always worked.
I can see her.
You can see me, but my PowerPoint.
Oh.
Why don't you just use that one that you have? And
okay, sure, I'll do that.
If it's not coming.
I'll have to get it up and then I will share it. Okay.
I really want to thank you, Anne and Debbie, Marin and Sonoma Leagues for inviting me. This is my favorite topic.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. And can I operate it now? Or will you have to?
I have to operate it, but that's fine. You
okay.
just,
okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. So, yes, this is my favorite topic, electoral reform. So I have been working on it a long time, and I'm really happy to see that we finally have a league position on this topic, because we have been an organization that believes in representative government as a founding principle. And ranked choice voting is one of my favorite topics as well. It's becoming wildly popular in this country. As you know, your neighbor, San Francisco, has been using ranked choice voting since 2004. It was known then as instant runoff voting. And then your other neighbors in the Bay Area, Berkeley, Oakland, and San Leandro, and now Albany, are using ranked choice voting as well. They've been using it since 2010, and Albany just recently adopted the multi-winner version of ranked choice voting, which achieves proportional representation. So it's really important to say clearly from the beginning that no electoral system is perfect. There are many different systems, and many of them were studied by local and state leagues all over the country. There are other ranked systems as well that we examined in those studies. However, ranked choice voting was the most popular in the resulting state and local league positions. And so that will be my sole focus today. Our current system can easily provide a majority winner if there's only 2 candidates, because one of them is guaranteed to get a majority. However, 3- and 4-way races, competitive races among candidates is very common, and this can cause unexpected results. Results such as voting for your favorite candidate and electing your least favorite candidate. And that's due to the spoiler effect or vote splitting. Just to remind you of some classic examples from presidential years of what vote splitting is. In 1992, Perot, amazing, got 19% of the vote as a third-party candidate and split the vote most likely with George Bush and helped elect Bill Clinton with 43% of the vote. In the year 2000, the famous Gore-Bush election, the Nader voters who voted for Nader ultimately helped elect George Bush. So ranked choice voting solves this problem. It makes your vote more powerful. It makes campaigns more civil, and it ensures that your vote isn't wasted. Now I'm going to give you a verbal definition, and I want you to just use your imagination, but don't worry about remembering this, because we're going to have a real live election for the mayor of Santa Rosa here using ranked choice voting as a demonstration. Ranked choice voting allows voters the option to rank candidates in order of preference, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. If your vote cannot help your top choice win, your vote counts for your next choice. This process continues until either you have a majority winner or a candidate wins with more than half the votes. Same thing. You will have an opportunity to see this, a step-by-step demonstration of how this works, as I said, when we elect the mayor of Santa Rosa at the end of this presentation. So let's have a look, next slide, at our league position. The goal of this position is to support electoral systems that provide the greatest level of representation for voters. And as Anne said, to implement alternatives to plurality voting. Ranked choice voting meets all this criteria that you see here that was established in the position. And the position was based on 14 state positions, and word for word, these words. Ranked choice voting has been used in Australia and New Zealand, Ireland for about 100 years. It's elected women presidents in Ireland. It's used in San Francisco, as I said early, since 2004 for California. And recently adopted in Eureka, Palm Desert, and Mission Viejo. It's been long used in Minneapolis and St. Paul and other cities in Minnesota, recently adopted and used for the first time now in New York City to elect the mayor in an upcoming election. That should be interesting. Entire states have also adopted ranked choice voting. Maine was the first, and just in November, Alaska. The GOP uses it in their nominating process in Utah. Many colleges and universities use it. It's called preference voting in Robert's Rules of Order. Basically, it's the same thing. It's used to vote for the nominations for the Academy Awards and many more. And actually, you can use it too, because anytime you want to make a decision where there are 2 or more choices, you can actually use it yourself, personally or in organizations. Even like a city council or a city could use it when they're making planning decisions, like design decisions. more than one choice, more than two choices, they could use ranked choice voting. So next slide.
Sorry.
The
Here we
state
go.
We're not going to really talk so much about, I'm not going to talk about the counting or do a demo on proportional voting today, but I want you to know that the state and national position also supports proportional representation. And this is the actual language from the position that you're seeing here. Next slide. Speaking of Women's History Month, here we are, March. And I wanted to share our founding mother, Kerry Katz, convention speech on the floor of convention in 1921. This is an audio recording. Kerry Katz was then chair of the Committee on Election Laws and Methods. And in her speech, she referred to Germany and Finland and said, you will never get women until you get proportional representation, which is what they were using in Germany and Finland. Then it was met with great applause from the League delegates. This is in 1921. It wasn't just a passing interest. Also, in her obituary that was in the National Municipal Review in 1947, they say Kerry Catman Chatt, who died March 9th at the age of 88, was a member of the Advisory Council on Proportional Representation from 1919 until the time of her death. She was one of the leaders to whom PR appealed as a natural extension of the suffrage movement. And it was important not only to get the vote, but to make the vote effective in securing representation. Next slide. Basically, there are two types of elections, single winner and multiple winner. Ranked choice voting can be used for both. We're focusing today on electing a single winner, but when used to elect more than one person, it can achieve proportional representation. And for those of you who have never heard that term, you might simply define it as majority rule with representation for the minority. Now, the minority could be an ethnic minority, it could be a language minority, or a political minority, like a political party that's in the minority. And many of them are in this country. Considering partisan elections, districts represent one party, red or blue. In a multi-winner district partisan election, using ranked choice voting, more voters other than the dominant party would have representation. And that's majority rule with representation for the minority. In Cambridge, Massachusetts, nonpartisan elections for city council and school board, they've been using proportional representation since the 40s. They elect a 9-member school board and a 9-member city council using PR, and the city is very diverse, and the city council and school board reflect that diversity. Today, we're just going to focus on the single winner version of ranked choice voting. Now, the single winner version, this is when you elect one person, such as a governor, a mayor, or a representative of one district, a single seat. This doesn't achieve proportional representation because you can't proportion one person that you're electing. However, it provides many benefits and is far superior to the plurality system that we are used to. Single winner elections could also be for city council, a city council or a school board that's been divided up into districts. It could be used to elect supervisors that where there are districts, or even ultimately maybe the state assembly or the state senate. We'll be electing today a single winner, the mayor of Santa Rosa citywide. Next slide. Here are some results from elections in Sonoma County, recent ones. What you see here, excuse me, are no majority winners due to vote splitting. District 7, West Santa Rosa there, you can see was particularly close with Eric 40%, Natalie 42%. And then in Windsor, you can see that the mayor won with 43% of the vote. So you'll see this play out when we do the demonstration. Now, what we're going to do is show a short video that will show you how ranked choice voting solves this problem of plurality voting and how you can elect a majority winner in one election. Slide 7. Can you hear me, Anne? It's slide 7.
Okay. Paula, I was on slide 7 and
I
I
did
could see it, but nobody could, I guess.
Nobody could see slide 7?
I mean,
I see it. I saw it.
okay.
You just need to
Right.
click on that little,
Yeah, and it went to the video and it was playing the video.
oh, I didn't see it either.
Okay, I'm gonna try it again.
Okay. Oh, I hope it works. It worked for me.
Can you see it?
No.
No.
You don't see it playing.
Politics is tearing us apart.
There it is. Well, we
Elections
just-
aren't working for most of
You have to
us.
share a different screen.
Here's why. In the US,
Oh, I
each
have
of
an idea.
Is
I
it
have
not
an
working?
idea. On the shared screen, just a minute. I'm
Because I'm seeing it.
just
Yeah,
gonna.
but you know how when you share, you only see what you're in. And so if that video is not in this program, it's like you'll have to get out of this and go into that, I think is the
Okay.
only way that's going to work.
Unshare this and share that.
Yeah.
All right. So, so that's what I'll do.
Oh,
Okay. So we'll just take a moment.
so the embedding is not working. Is that
Well,
it?
it is. It's working for me, but it's just
Yeah.
not working in the, we should have practiced this, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
It
here's
worked
what
for
I'm gonna
me
do.
too.
I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, and then I'm gonna share my screen again.
Get onto the video first before you share it again.
tearing us apart. Because elections aren't working for most of us. Here's why. In the US, each of us can vote for the candidate we like the most. But whenever more than 2 candidates are running to win one seat, it's possible for most voters to hate whoever wins. Because of the split vote, politicians can ignore the will of most voters and still win. Ranked choice voting gives you the freedom to select a backup choice to prevent that from happening. Let's say a group uses ranked choice voting to decide what to eat for dinner tonight. Each voter selects their favorite dish, but also has the option to choose backup dishes. If one food receives more than half the votes, it wins, just like in any other election. But let's get to dessert, where the competition is more fierce. What if no ice cream flavor has more than 50% of the vote? Under a normal race, vanilla would win, even though a majority of voters didn't pick it. With ranked choice voting, the flavor with the fewest votes is eliminated. And voters who chose that flavor as number one will have their votes count for their next choice. Everyone gets a say, no one wastes their vote, and the winner is the flavor that the largest number of people agreed upon. That's ranked choice voting. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You get more voice and more choice, and that makes elections better for all of us.
Good, Ann.
All right, it worked. Woohoo! Now, I'm gonna start sharing
We
again.
made USAA insurance for renters.
Oh
We'll make
goodness,
the
sorry
most of
about
their
the insurance for renters. God. Oh my, oh Zoom, I love you. Okay. So next slide, right?
Yes, yes. We will get, you will see this video play out when we do the live demo election. But this is an example of what a ranked ballot would look like. The voter would just fill in the bubble. Pretty easy. Next slide. This is another example of a ranked ballot that the League of Women Voters in Maine used when they were doing voter education on ranked choice voting, which is now used statewide. Okay. Now, one more video. Let's see if the same thing happens. Let's try it.
The same thing is going to happen.
Is
So
it?
you have to
Okay.
bear with me.
Okay.
Just a minute, we're gonna start all over.
Vote for your favorite color.
The instant runoff way.
Instead of voting for just one color, you get to rank your top 3.
Well, purple is the best, but if I can't have purple, then I want blue. And if neither of those wins, then I guess I could live with yellow.
Now let's count up everybody's votes.
Under instant runoff rules, it's not enough just to get the most votes.
You need a majority.
More than 50% of the votes.
So purple's ahead, but it only has 7 votes. It needs at least 11 to win.
So we eliminate whoever's in last place.
Sorry, yellow fans. We're going to your second choice.
2 more for pink,
1 for purple.
but no one has 11 votes yet.
Still no majority. Bye-bye, blue.
3 for purple,
2 for pink.
and we have a winner.
The instant runoff way.
Pretty clever for 60 seconds. Minnesota was early to adopt ranked choice voting, and so it was originally called instant runoff voting. So that's what they were using there, and this was developed by Minnesota Public Radio. So the if you're back on the PowerPoint, yeah, you're pretty fast, Ann. Thank you. These are the benefits, which we will cover again when we do the demo, which we're going to do right now. We get majority winners with no runoffs. More voters influence the outcome. We don't have vote splitting or wasted votes. More choices for voters and more opportunities for more people to run for office, civil campaigning, and the winner with a majority has a broader mandate. So this is really the power of your backup vote. So the resources are the next slide and the last slide. And the resources there, I have actually many more, but that's what fit on the screen.
Sorry.
Well, no one's going to copy them down, but Ann's going to put them in the chat. And also Debbie and Ann will be putting them on the websites and suggested. So you don't have to worry about, but there's a lot of really interesting things. And let me just cover a few of them. The top one is Ranked Choice Voting Resource Center, which is a resource for election administrators and voters and policymakers and candidates. So that is really a great, great resource. And then our position I put there is in the impact on issues on page 47. And a great report by the Academy of Arts and Sciences that recommends several things to improve democracy. And they do recommend ranked choice voting and proportional representation. And then this great series by Fair Vote, which is 1 hour interviews from different people, real good. And then there's some more videos like you just saw. So let's go to the election.
Right.
It's, Jim is all ready with his buttons, and we have all the candidates here.
I think we do.
Okay.
Paula, you asked for a time. It's about 12:13. So you have about a half an hour until 12:45 when you want to do questions.
Okay, well, maybe we'll get to more questions then. Good.
Okay, so we're going to be showing our candidates, and I am actually going to be keeping track of the votes. Now, what you will, Nancy, Dee Dee, I don't know who's doing the spotlighting, but as we go through the process of the ranked choice voting, as people clearly can't win, then will you unspotlight them so that we end up with the winner?
I'm sorry, Ann, what did you just say? I'm trying to find the people.
Okay, I'm going to send you a chat.
Okay.
And you have plenty of time.
Yeah.
Okay, where's Lori? I'm not seeing Jim. Where did Jim go?
He's
up
out
above.
campaigning somewhere.
He's out camp. Oh, there he is up there, but oh, you're under vote Jim 1, 2, 3. That's why I can't find you. There we go.
Oh, he's into it.
Oh boy. Okay. So I'm sorry, Ann, what did you say you want me to do?
As people are, excuse the word, eliminated, unspotlight them, please.
Okay.
Okay, I have done this presentation many times. I've always done it with live audiences, and this is my first time on Zoom. So really appreciate you letting me experiment with how this works, because more Zoom meetings would like to see this. And
I do have a few prepared remarks if candidates have that.
Jim, I absolutely love it that you're into it, and Lori has her vote for me sign. So you are candidates raring to be elected mayor of Santa Rosa. This is really good. It'll be fun too. But right off, I must tell you all, it's a rigged election. Okay? The outcome has been determined in advance by me. Actually, it's a demo election. And so just for time's sake, it's determined in advance. You'll see the outcomes of our current system, the plurality system. You'll see the outcome of what happens in a 2-round runoff. And you'll also see what you all came to see, which is the outcome of electing the mayor of Santa Rosa using ranked choice voting, where we're going to get a majority winner in one election. So there are 23 voters, even though there are many more people on the Zoom meeting, there are 23 of you that are going to be the voters today in this demonstration election. So it's going to take 12 votes to get a majority. There are 4 candidates running: Linda, Lori, Leona, there's Leona, and Jim. Usually it's the opposite. We have 3 men, 1 woman. So things are looking up. This is good. as we have seen described, you, the voters, are going to have, or have already done it, have ranked these candidates by preference. And the voter is not required to rank all the candidates. They can vote for one as they do now. However, if you only vote for one person, you do not maximize the effectiveness of your vote as well as if you voted or ranked more than one. Personally, I would rank my favorite. Next, the person that I'd be okay with, maybe the person I could live with, and maybe not rank someone that I really objected to. That's just me. In this election, all the candidates were ranked. Now, I'll be assigning the votes to the candidates as I have the ballots and I have the rankings of the 23 voters, and Anne will be recording and counting the votes. There. Now, counting the first choice votes. If someone gets a majority, 12 votes, remember, that's what it's going to take, they automatically win, and we stop right there with the election. So counting the first choice votes, I see that Linda has 7 votes. My ballot went into the trash, just a minute. Okay, Lori has 3 votes. Sorry, Leona, 5. You may pick up some more, Leona or Lori. Jim has 8. It's all those speaking engagements he's been
So
at.
That means I'm out.
see these.
Okay, first round of counting. The computer tells us Linda has 7, Lori has 3, Leona has 5, and Jim has 8. Now, keep holding that up there, Anne. In a plurality election, who is the winner?
Jim.
Jim with 8 votes. Because in our current system, our plurality system, the person with the most votes wins. And yet 15 of the voters preferred someone else other than Jim. So Jim doesn't quite have the mandate for governing that he would if he had a majority. So in some jurisdictions, of course, decided they wanted a majority. And so you can put it down now. We came up with the 2-round runoff so that the 2 top vote getters would go to a separate runoff election. Who would that be?
That would be Linda and Jim.
Linda and Jim, yes. What happens in runoffs? Well, first of all, the candidates have to raise a whole lot more money, twice as much money as they would in one election. Sometimes one of those elections, either the runoff or the earlier election, has low voter turnout. So ultimately, there are fewer people are actually choosing the winner. And this is going to cost these candidates a lot of money to run that second election. So they're going to be beholden to somebody maybe. And the taxpayers will be footing the bill for the cost of the second election. Plus, you, the voters, will have your mailboxes filled up again for that second election. You know these well. Well, the other problem with the runoff is that when it gets down to 2 people, political consultants have advised the candidates, that's when it pays to go negative with those mailers, because what you really want to do is decrease the vote of the opponent and not say too much about what you want to do so that you can win. So that is a problem in the 2-round runoff. And so the solution for this is to achieve a majority winner in one election. instead of those two. And that's what ranked choice voting does. And the way it does it is it takes the computer now, if there is no majority winner in the first round, which we don't have, we'll take the candidate with the least number of votes. And I'm dragging this out for some of you that have seen this before, but to make it really understandable, we're going to take Lori's votes because Lori, yes, you got only 3 votes, the least number of votes.
It was rigged.
Yeah.
He said it was.
You know, maybe Lori, you just didn't have enough money to get the word out. Maybe you came into the race late or
Bye,
hard to say.
Lori. Bye bye.
Hard to say, but those of you who voted for Lori, your vote is not wasted. Your vote, your second choice, if you ranked a second choice, will be used, so it isn't wasted. And in this case, Linda picked up 2 of your votes, Lori, and Leona picked up 1.
So I have 6.
Looks like they were going for the women's vote, wanting to elect a woman. Okay, do we have a majority, Registrar?
No, not yet.
Not yet. No one has 12.
8.
Okay, repeat. Just goes in rounds. This happens in seconds, of course. And in the next round, we see that Leona is the candidate with the least number of votes. So Leona with 6 votes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I was wondering about that, but
Sorry about that. Whoops.
especially considering your background, Anne.
Well, yeah, I know. It's particularly bad, isn't it?
It's pretty funny. So Leona with 6 votes is the candidate now that will say bye-bye, but those of you who really liked Leona as your first choice, your votes aren't wasted. And 4 of Leona's votes are going to go to Linda. 2 of them are going to go to Jim.
10.
And we will now have a majority winner.
Linda wins.
Linda wins with 13. Jim has 10. So what you see is that Linda is elected with more broad-based support. She saved money because she did it in one election. More voters had a say in this election because they got to rank their second and third choice. So even if Linda was not their first choice, it was Jim or another candidate, at least they got someone and they got to participate in the election. And I think that's really good for voter apathy.
Nice try, Jim.
So
congratulations, Linda.
Yeah, congratulations, Linda. This is what happens when you look a little deeper into voters' preferences. We looked into their second choice preferences and found out that actually Linda was the overall most preferred candidate by the voters. So again, we have a majority winner, no runoffs, we save money. Voters influenced the election in different ways. No votes were wasted. Most votes weren't wasted. We didn't have to worry about voting for your favorite and hurting your least favorite. When you vote for a second or third choice, you do not hurt your first choice. Usually in an election with ranked choice voting, what we've seen is more candidates run. So there are more choices for voters and more opportunities for people to run. And that's because, for example, if Anne and I wanted to run for city council, but we had a lot of the same good ideas for the city, and I heard that Anne was running, I would say, oh no, I'm not going to run, because I would not want to split the vote with Anne and cause someone else to be elected. So that's the beauty of ranked choice voting. Also, civil campaigns. When you have a ranked voting election, it hurts if you are going to be negative on any candidate, because you would like to have that voter's second or third choice. And if you're negative about their first choice, you may not get that. So all over the country where this has been used, it's been really critical that the league be involved in voter education when this is implemented. So I'm really happy to see that you're all interested in this, and let's take some questions.
All right, let me see. We have lots of things in the chat, so it'll take me a moment to get to
I saw a question about voting equipment, so let me just answer that one.
okay.
Voting equipment was a real issue early on, and yet now it has become much more easy to acquire the equipment. Dominion is used in a lot of these cities that use ranked choice voting, and they have just a software module that the city can purchase. It started out being quite expensive, but it's gone down in cost now that there's so many jurisdictions using it, and other vendors are able to use ranked choice voting to count those ballots. So it's not the issue that it used to be. It may cost a city that doesn't have that capability right now some money to purchase the software. However, many cities are purchasing all new equipment anyway. And in fact, the HR1, which most of you are familiar with, has a clause in it that says anyone who purchases new equipment now in the country with federal money, it must be ranked choice voting compatible. The equipment must be. So that'll help too.
Okay, here's a question, Paula. Does this, and I assume this means ranked choice voting, cause a lot of disqualification or disqualified ballots due to errors and voter confusion?
Well, that's a common complaint, is this is confusing. It isn't, it has turned out that it is not confusing to voters. Voters do get this. It's a convenient political response, however, to electeds that, or the political machine, consultants and everyone that resists change, to say that it's confusing. Even our Governor Newsom said that. However, it's proven that people really do understand it, and they just need to be educated, and that's the role, a good role for the league to play. I myself, I used to do bully prevention in middle school. And so because of my interest in this, one day I said, let me try this with these middle school kids, see if it's confusing to them. And so instead of candidates, I just made the four corners of the room field trips, like candidates, and to get them up and moving, go stand in the corner or near the field trip of your favorite choice, your first choice. And students saw immediately that the museum was not as popular as the beach, for example, or Six Flags. And so they had to move and have a second choice until there was clearly a most favorite field trip. It's really all that simple. If you go in, if you don't have your first choice, you usually do have a second choice. And it's just a matter of learning how to mark the ballot. And I hope you can see that it isn't that complicated.
So we have some more questions. Here's one. How would this work in a presidential election where the Electoral College is involved?
it can't really work until we have, we don't even have a national popular vote yet, which the league supports, by the way, if any of you don't know that. It supports the compact, which would work with the Electoral College to create a national popular vote. And yet, several states last November or last session used used ranked choice voting to choose their nominees. Remember that long list of presidential nominees on both sides? And so some states were using it in the primary.
I should be saying who's asking these questions. I apologize. That was Nancy.
And a lot of this real detailed information about who used it in presidential primaries, all that can be found on the website fairvote.org.
Great, which I did put in the chat. Let's see. Some of the, all right. Where are the opportunities for fraud or potential rigging with this type of process? And this is from Lori.
Well, it's no different than any other election. If you have good, secure equipment and a good process in your registrar of voters and all that, just like any other election, it just works exactly the same.
So Barbara Strong asks, have any cities had big issues with ranked choice voting? What were those issues and how resolved? I guess have problems come up that you know of related to the use of ranked choice voting?
Not to the use of it. There have been challenges, many challenges to the constitutionality of it, and many fights over stopping the implementation of it. And yet it has survived all court challenges, and it's really no longer really an issue about constitutionality. I would say that early on, and even still now, you see conservatives a little more wary of change, right? So this is a change and might be wary of it. But Barbara Klein and I actually are planning a webinar for leagues in the country that want to join it on the conservative view of ranked choice voting, and we're inviting a couple of Republicans, conservatives that have used it, and one that used to say it was horrible and it's totally changed his mind. So it's gaining a lot of popularity everywhere, just because it isn't partisan. It just isn't a partisan question.
So this is related. This is from Leona. Have any California League of Women Voters chapters promoted a campaign to cities and counties to adopt ranked choice voting?
Yes,
you can answer that one.
Right next door at your Berkeley Albany Emeryville League did.
Yeah.
They really helped a lot in the and also don't want to leave out Oakland. The Oakland League was great. It is said in electoral reform circles that without the League of Women Voters in Oakland, it couldn't have happened. So yeah, it's and also they helped in the multi-winner version of ranked choice voting that was adopted in Albany in November.
Well, I mean, the fact that we have these positions makes it possible for leagues to do this. And these are new, 2019, 2020. This is new stuff.
The league in is Eureka Humboldt County? I guess it would have been.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, the Humboldt County League. They were responsible for doing voter education. The registrar in Eureka asked them in that county, to do ranked choice voting education before the election for voters. So they took that on. And it won, by the way. Albany and Eureka were over 70%.
Doug Cooper asks if people basically fill out their ballots wrong, what happens? How is it decided which was intended?
Just like any other adjudication of a ballot, they would look at it and try to determine the voter's intention. If they can't, they just don't count it.
Okay. Oh, here's a good one. Well, they're all good. I didn't mean that, but here's one that I'm very interested in hearing, particularly interested in hearing the answer to. Lynn Spittler asks, what if one person has the highest number of votes, but not a majority, and the next two are tied?
Oh, you settle ties just like any other election too, which is coin toss. I mean, it's just everyone has written in their instructions or bylaws a way to deal with ties, and they use that the same way as they would any tie.
Interesting. So who decides what electoral system is used for an election? What's the process to change an electoral system?
Well, I can tell you that in California, there are general law cities and charter cities. About 2/3 of our cities are general law. They cannot change their election system because it's bound by the state election code. The state election code would have to be changed, and we have tried that 3 times. But let me just say that if you are a charter city or a county, you have your own constitution, you might say, and you can do what you want to do. And that is what has happened in the cities where it's changed. They are charter cities that are able to adopt ranked choice voting by a vote of the people. And actually, I think it could even be put on, I think that they could do it by ordinance as well. But it's much better for, if you're going to change the election system, to go to the vote of the people. The legislation that I'm referring to, I hope you hear about it again, but it probably won't happen till after Newsom is gone. But it's referred to as the local option bill. And we tried this 3 times. All this bill would do is give local general law cities the option to use an alternative election system, either 2-round runoff or ranked choice voting or anything else really, if it was adopted by the people. So here's a bill that costs no money, has no mandate, no money for the state, imagine. I mean, no money, bipartisan support, no opposition, and it made it all the way through, but it got vetoed by Brown, Schwarzenegger, and Newsom. Too confusing. So, but we'll get there eventually, and more cities will be able to adopt it. But Sonoma is a charter city, I do believe. I mean, Santa Rosa.
Rick has a comment in here. Last week in a conference at Sonoma State University, Mike McGuire and Mark Levine expressed zero enthusiasm for dealing with this issue at this time. So maybe we need to talk to them.
Are they professors there?
No, there are representatives. Mark.
Yes.
California Senate, and Mark Levine is our assembly.
Oh, well, absolutely. No, I'll just say that this idea for people who are already sitting in office is not wildly popular, because people who are elected do not like the idea of changing how they got elected. And their consultants and the whole political machine that goes with it no one likes change. People do prefer 2 elections, of course, because it's more money for everybody. And so change is got to start at the local level. And that's why it's best to start in cities and have it be successful as it has been. And now we've gone to states, Alaska and Maine. And so Massachusetts had it on the ballot too, but it lost. And it was supported by, all the, all the leaders of a blue state, like Elizabeth Warren and the governor and everybody, but it needed more. COVID was somewhat responsible, but it needed a little more voter education, I think.
So there was another question here. I've lost it. Let me find it. Oh, from Lori. Is the goal to have this type of election process be implemented for all voting elsewhere? You might want to, Lori, you want to unmute yourself and ask this question, because I'm not sure what you mean by goal.
Well, I just mean like, so are we saying, I mean, this seems terrific, right? So are we saying, okay, what ultimately our goal is that we would like all elections everywhere to follow this process, and having that be if that's true, that's such a large goal, or do you see it happening that we would start like county by county? Is that even possible to get it approved county by county or state by state or federally mandated, or how do you see this unfolding? How do you see this happening?
Slowly, little by little, just like I said, as it'll gain popularity with voters. If you think about everything that you just heard about it, it's all about voters. It's about
you're explaining, but can you implement, can it be implemented? It can be implemented piecemeal. So we would just need to start like one little piece at a time, change here, change here, change here.
Yeah, and some people, I mean, at Californians for Electoral Reform, people call us all the time and say, we need to get it on the ballot, a statewide ballot. But, that really is not the best strategy right now in a huge state like California. That worked in Maine and it worked in Alaska, and not easily. Alaska had a few other campaign finance reforms mixed in with it. So a state like California, it's going to be a little bit at a time. But as I said before, you don't even need to wait for a city to start. You could actually implement these ideas even in organizations and or go talk to student bodies, high school, college student bodies. It's used in a lot of different universities, but I mean, that's another way of helping it grow, because I always imagined college students graduating and then getting to a public election and saying, what? I only get to vote for one?
So Karen had a comment here about the mayor of Santa Rosa, which, why don't you unmute yourself, Karen, and tell us about this.
Okay, hi, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
So the current mayor of Santa Rosa, Chris Rogers, has said a number of times, and the most recent in the goal setting that the council had a couple of weeks ago, that he would like Santa Rosa to explore and go to ranked choice voting. And the charter, Santa Rosa charter, is coming up for revision next year, and that's one of the items he would like to see placed on the list of things to explore.
Karen, that is great news for your city.
And I did invite him to this today, but he couldn't come, so.
Well, we'll do it again for him.
Okay.
So we still have about 15 minutes. So if people have questions they want to put in the chat, fine. And maybe you could also just hold up your hand if you have something that you would. Nancy Bell's waving her hand around.
Hi there. I just want to let everybody know that in the chat, I've just put in where you can go to register for the April monthly meeting. And there'll also be more information on the website the end of this week. We didn't want to interfere with today's meeting. So I'm just wanting to know that's in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Let's see, what else is in the chat? Kay Noguchi. Kay, you want to ask your question or shall I?
I was just asking Paula if you could talk a little bit more about Minnesota. I'm curious if that's how they elect their senators and their governor and Congress people.
No, not yet, but they are planning a statewide campaign next because it has been so successful. It's been used first in Minneapolis, then St. Paul, recently adopted in Bloomington, and there's this other city, the nice Nordic name that I can't think of right
Duluth?
now. Huh?
Duluth?
No,
No.
no, it starts with an M, I think. Oh, I'll think of it in a minute, but it was recent. It's been used by adopted for like a Parks Commission election, Parks and Rec. They're using it in different ways, but these two new cities just adopted it last November. So because it's spreading and been used for a long time in Minneapolis and St. Paul, there's a lot of data that they can use to support the effectiveness of it and support a statewide election. And so, yeah, Minnesota is on its way to a statewide consideration.
Elaine?
Yes, I guess I'm confused. I had not paid attention to general law cities versus charter cities. How many cities in California are general law cities?
About 2/3 of our cities.
So it means you can't do it by county then, passing this.
No, well, if a county is a charter county, that I think you could. That's the case in San Francisco, charter city county combo, and they did it that way.
Yeah.
There's another just on this topic. I'll give a little more detail. A general law city could create a charter easily and just put the one thing in it.
Really?
Yes, and then have voters vote on it. However, the reason that doesn't happen, because that was actually tried in the city of Davis, and it's not popular because once you create that charter, you're opening up the door to whatever anybody else wants to put in that constitution.
Yeah.
So, but it could be done that way. And eventually, and a lot of states are dealing with the same thing. The state of Washington is moving along really successfully with their local option bill right now, and the league is heavily involved in supporting it. And the league was supporting the local option bill here in Sacramento as well for our state.
Sounds like a big job.
The state of Washington is doing some really interesting stuff.
Yes.
Around elections, period. They're doing some really interesting work around money and politics.
Mm-hmm.
And the league's very involved. Linda Jackson.
That's another great website to add to that list would be the Sightline Institute.
The Sightline Institute. Can you add it, Paula? I don't know.
Oh, I thought you knew it. Okay, I will send that to you. I have several other resources.
I don't have the link.
Okay.
Linda, you had a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. It's as California goes into having all the jurisdictions with district elections, it seems even more an imperative to have something like this to save money. But then again, we are going to have a big industrial complex around elections of people who make their livings. And with the district elections, that complex just got bigger. But this would really simplify the election period for residents across the state.
Yes, if you have already gone to districts, this is your next best thing, is to use ranked choice voting to elect that single member district. person. However, I can't help but tell you that ideally, you would achieve a more proportional result and represent more voters in an at-large multi-winner election using ranked choice voting, because you would you would get that majority rule with minority representation. So it's kind of a shame, but the move to go to district elections is really, you know, pushed by the voting rights community, which they're really kind of stuck on that as being the only solution. I did mention Mission Viejo, I think, in my presentation, and Palm Desert in Southern California. Those two places, though, have gone to multi-winner ranked choice voting. They're using proportional representation to solve voting rights cases. So more and more, I hope that it's just that these lawsuits, you know, scare the communities that have been served with lawsuits for violating the California Voting Rights Act. And so it's a quick $30,000 for the lawyers if the city just says, oh, okay, we'll go to districts.
This might be something the league can look at in about 5 years when you see what the result actually is in terms of district elections. It may just be a demographic change of an increase in people of color wanting to run for office rather than district elections. But this process would really streamline the fact that jurisdictions might have 5 campaigns going and then runoffs in 2 of them and not the other 3. And I could see where there could be confusion there.
Not to mention now they have to redistrict every 10 years. Hi.
Paula, and one more question. Do any of the parties favor or are anti it, like Democrats and Republicans? Do they have a position on this?
It's in the California State Democratic Party platform.
Well, it is.
Very few people know that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So you might, if you are, I'm not involved in the party, but anybody who is might use that to ask their delegates about that. It's not in the Republican Party platform.
Wow.
It is supported by libertarians. It's in theirs. It's supported by Greens. And I don't know about the other third. Peace and Freedom. I don't know about the other parties though. And was that your whole question?
It is. Thank you, Paula, very much. Wow.
It's still, as I said, it's something that benefits voters. And so it'll really be up to voters to ask for it, I think. And I think that it's proving to be popular, and that'll happen eventually more and more.
Lynn Spittler had a question.
If there's a leader with not the majority and a tie in the second place, how will the tie be determined? It really won't be a toss of the coin. It's got to be somebody makes that determination, and that seems like that could lead to bias and fraud.
Well, first of all, it's not likely to happen. Very, very rarely does this happen when you have a public election, a lot of voters. It happens easily. It may be in an organization that's using it where you're counting the second choices and third choices. You're more likely to have that happen in a smaller group of voters. But in a public election with so many voters, it's not likely. But the reason I said that coin toss, as silly as that sounds, that is written in to the law in many jurisdictions, and that is how they determine ties. Should they happen? Look it up and check it out for me.
So who tosses the coin?
You know, I guess it happens so infrequently that I don't know.
That's quite a responsibility for the coin tosser, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's a really interesting question. You really got me going now, Lynn, on that one.
How many times do they toss the coin?
So any other comments or questions? Hold up your hand and wave it about. I don't see anybody. So, oh, I see Sue Beidel.
Have you done any work for elections on college and university campuses? Because if you start there, you might get things going.
Are you talking about starting with ranked choice voting there?
Yes.
Yes. Well, it's already used on a lot of colleges and universities. I'll try to remember to put that into the list of resources, because there is a list, actually, you can find that on fairvote.org, of where it's used. It's been used for a long time at Stanford, for example, I know. And it's funny how I did expect, as I said, that students would graduate and expect it on public election ballots, be able to rank. But so far, there's not a huge demand. Although I think when you look at where support is for ranked choice voting and support in general for electoral change, it's very popular among that age group.
Good, thank you.
So Rick points out that there was a coin toss to resolve a tie for Virginia House of Delegates seat a couple of years ago. So
oh, how interesting,
this
Rick.
does happen out there.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a drawing, but I posted the news article.
Oh, okay, great.
Same concept. Same concept.
Oh, yeah. So Linda put the link to the article in the chat.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so we, all right. Well, I think we are coming upon 1 o'clock.
Oh, Jim says the answer here. I said 2/3 of the cities. There's 121 charter cities. Oh, I said general law, but he's noting here in the chat, so you can copy it, the link to the list of charter cities and general law cities. But there's 121 charter cities. Are your cities, by the way? What about your cities? Are they all general law? I think I looked some of them up in Marin County.
San
Rafael's charter.
Oh.
San Rafael's charter?
All but one. All.
Yeah, just San Rafael.
Oh, well, San Rafael would be a nice place to start. San Rafael and Santa Rosa.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, so we will save the chat, but you all know you can save the chat yourselves if you want to save all that stuff. And we will, some of these wonderful resources that Paula has mentioned and that are in the chat, Robin and Scott, maybe we can get these up on our website in some way so that people can have them there. This presentation is going to be available for viewing. That's the plan.